Hello, my name is Azucena, and I'm going to be talking to you about the brain and some of its functions. Here we have a hollow organ known as the brain. Yummy, tasty. The brain has four major parts. We have the cerebrum, the diencephalon, which you cannot see from this view. We have the cerebellum and the brainstem, which connects to the spinal cord. Here are four lobes of the brain. We have the frontal lobe, the parietal lobe, the occipital lobe, and the temporal lobe. Now, the cerebrum has folds called gyri, and it has shallow grooves called sulci. Then we have the left and the right hemisphere, which is divided by the longitudinal fissure. Now, the cerebrum is responsible for learning language. It interprets sensory information. It plans movement and also personality. As you can see some of it from my picture. It tells you a little bit of it. Now from the cerebrum, I'm going to be talking to you a bit about the diencephalon. The diencephalon has two major parts. We have the thalamus, which is the gateway to the cerebrum. It integrates and relays, also edits and sorts information going into and out of the cerebrum. We have the hypothalamus, which the hypothalamus is responsible with the homeostatic functions. And it is connected to the pituitary gland. Or the other way around, the pituitary gland is connected to the hypothalamus by the infundibulum. Then we have what you call epithalamus, which is pretty much just the cover of the thalamus and the hypothalamus. And it contains a pineal gland which secretes melatonin, which is for your sleep and wake cycle. Okay, now we have the brainstem. And the brainstem has three parts, I would say. We have the midbrain, which relays motor and sensory impulses. We have the pons. It also relays impulses from one side of the cerebellum to the other. And it also helps the medulla oblongata control breathing. Now the medulla oblongata it relays impulses, and it regulates heartbeat, breathing, things like that. It coordinates swallowing and involuntary control. It's the best way for me to say it, as my teacher told me. Take a few steps back, which I did not say. The hypothalamus, very important part of your brain. Very, very, very important. Take extra care of it. Okay, moving back. Well, actually, moving forward again. I was telling you about the medulla oblongata, and it connects to the spinal cord. Okay, now here we have the cerebellum. And the cerebellum is posterior to the brainstem, and it coordinates movements and regulates posture and balance. So if you can't balance well, talk to your cerebellum for a bit and tell them, hey, I need a... No, you don't do that, but it helps you with your balance. Now, okay, I just spoke to you about the cerebrum, the diencephalon, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. Brain itself is very, very important. We have certain parts of the brain which controls different functions. The brain as a whole, you see it as one big organ, but it actually doesn't really separate itself. But with the sulci and the gyri, each part, like you see these colors, they all have its own unique function. Help you with learning, and if you were to hurt a certain part of your body, well, no, not a certain part of your body, but if you were to hurt a certain part of your brain, then you would mess up some of the functions that you do on a daily life, things that you don't really think about it, that you actually depend on, but you might take for granted, like the occipital lobe. concerns itself with our vision. Very careful. If you were to damage your occipital lobe, you can go blind. Temporal lobe, right next to your ear for thinking and hearing. Then we have your frontal lobe for thinking also. Brain is one of the most amazing organs of the body. I would say it's right up there with the heart. Because without your brain, who would you be? Where would you be? Treat your brain well. Don't do drugs. You'll ruin it. And don't drink too much alcohol either. You might ruin that too. Okay, well, thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation about the lovely brain. Now I'm going to go take my vitamins so I can continue having a great, well-functioning brain. Thank you. Bye-bye.